Hey, it's Jeremy from jeremy.net. I am a comic book artist, writer, self publisher, and I share my creative process, my creative journey here with you online every week. If you would like to get bonus live stream videos, if you'd like to see more behind the scenes blog posts and images and artwork, as well as I'm running my current comic book as a webcomic on my Patreon campaign, you can subscribe, support this channel, and get all that additional content at patreon.com/GERIMI. If you would like to read some of my comic books, get a preview look, see what kind of stuff I'm making, you can go to comics.jeremy.net. There's PDFs there that you can download and take a look at my previous graphic novel, Eye of the Gods, my current series, Morningstar, which is Lucifer's Fall from Heaven told as a Western. And if you would like to purchase some of my comic books, either physical hard copies, or if you read on Amazon Kindle or in digital formats, you can go to amazon.jeremy.net. That will forward you to my Amazon author page where you can pick those up. All right, so see, we already got some folks in the chat. We've got American Swordfish. He said, hello, I'm from the future. Well, I'm from the past. I'm just trying to catch up. See, Matt Fitz in the chat as well. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. So, this week, we are working on the cover to Morningstar issue 8, the final issue. Let me bring the camera down a little bit and angle this so you can get a better look at the actual what's on the drawing board here. Actually, let me scoot this back a little bit and then turn it forward so we won't get as much distortion on the camera. There we go. So, last week I had mentioned I was at a Artisan Social Club event, and while we're there hanging out, I was sketching. Let me put a sheet of white paper behind this so it'll be a little more visible. So in red pencil, I rough out my basic concept for the cover. And in this, basically Lucifer is going to be engulfed in flames, and he's coming out screaming, pointing his gun at, theoretically a viewer slightly off camera. And I just posted a video last night where I took the in-progress shots that I was taking of this as I was drawing it, and I realized when I went to flip this page that the skull felt very much off of the axis. It didn't feel like it had the proper volume that the head should have. And this is the reason, and basically the point of the little video that I posted, it was just a short 3-minute clip of me showing the in-progress shots and then showing what happened when I flipped it. And I can immediately see a lot of structural flaws in the drawing. See, Ian Rocks is in the chat. Good to see you, man. Working on the Morningstar, the cover for the final issue. So, point being, once I flipped the page, I saw a lot of flaws I didn't see before, and that's why it's always important to flip your drawings, whether you're doing it on a light box, if you're working digitally and you're just looking at the reflection of the canvas, flipping the canvas. However you do it, or in my case, I draw on vellum, and then I just flip over the other side and draw on the back side of the vellum. But getting that mirror image, getting a look at the mirror image of whatever you're drawing allows you to see a lot more structural flaws than you actually think are there. There's just certain blind spots that we have by nature. Every artist has different blind spots. Some people make figures too long, some people make them too squat and short, some people stretch them in different ways. We all have our visual flaws, but the beauty of flipping your drawing, flipping your artwork, is that it allows you to see the things that you're missing. And seeing what you're missing is, that's what the process of getting better is all about. Just learning how to, find and correct mistakes. So, a lot of drawing and erasing at this point, because it's just me going through, refining, adjusting. I will tell you that right now I am also doing a rewrite pass on the on the dialogue for the final issue. And in a way, I've actually been a little bit cranky just because it means that I'm not spending as much time drawing as I ordinarily would. And even though I feel like I'm getting better at the writing process, it still feels much more like work to me than drawing does. When there's days that I have to spend, if I'm spending several hours at the drawing table, I don't get fatigued. If anything, the more time I spend at the drawing table, the harder time I have resting, and I kind of have to force myself to step away and take a break. With writing, it definitely does still feel like a chore. I have to force myself to put my butt in the seat. And I think there's a lot of writers that struggle with that same problem. So it's been a little bit of a challenge the past few weeks because I really honestly would like to just get into even the lettering phase. I don't dislike lettering, but lettering feels like an extension of the writing to me. That's why I do my own lettering. It helps me sort of work out the it helps me visually work out how I'm pacing the story. But the fact that I have to finish doing this dialogue pass, then letter it, then I get to go into actually doing the layouts for the individual pages, it feels like it's going to be several weeks before I am back to drawing full on pages, full on just comic book pages. So I thought maybe, depending on how far I get with the cover, that maybe for the next week or two I will start working on digitally painting the cover and go from having my camera above my drawing table to live streaming from my computer and actually showing you, letting you watch me work on the color process, the painting process. And it's funny because I've been also thinking back and forth. I was really, and I have been going back and forth a little bit. I was debating, instead of doing the final cover digitally and instead of painting it digitally, I was very much debating doing it as a traditional painting because I miss traditional painting. I've been wanting to get back into it more. I've been working on a piece. It's a present for my wife. That's in a large format acrylic painting, and in doing that, I realized how much I miss painting. And I'm kind of tempted to do the cover, but I also am thinking, knowing how much I revise things and how much back and forth I tend to have, that I don't want to simply start doing it, spend several months doing a painting, and then be unhappy with it and coming back and doing it digital anyway. I know that doing it digitally, I'm going to do a lot of back and forth, but considering the fact that the last cover was a digital painting, I'm confident enough that I can pull it off, even if it's not, even if it's a challenge, which it will be. I think that every painting, until you've been doing it a lot until you've been doing it frequently for a number of years, every painting is a bit of a challenge. But I do believe that I know that I can get there because I got there with the previous cover. That if I were to do it traditionally, that getting the process would also happen. But I feel like it might take much longer than I really want. Where I'd spend a lot of time just working on the painting long after I could have moved on to doing my pencils for the final issue, the actual interior artwork. So I think for now I'm going to stick with digital for the cover. I do want to start doing a bunch of small original paintings of the all of the thumbnails that I did for potential cover options that I had posted a few months ago. I'd like to do paintings of all of those, just because I want to start selling traditional artwork that's Morningstar themed and do more of that. So I think doing ink drawings of all of them and then doing small acrylic paintings of all of them. I think that's just something where once I finish Morningstar, before I dive into my next comic book project, one, I'm going to do a book about outlining comics. And then two, I think while I'm working on that book, I want to continue producing artwork that's Morningstar themed because I want to get back. I just like the idea of doing some standalone pieces, giving myself a little chance for some creative breathing space, as well as just creating some new pieces, experimenting with a little bit of different media. Let's see here. See, Iron Rocks is just saying that his connection there is a little bit screwy because he's out out in the valley. So no worries, man. Just you guys chime in whenever you want to chime in. I'm a little bit out of sorts. I'm half here connected with you guys and half in the problem solving mode, and I think that I'm always in the problem solving mode when I'm making art, but with this particular one, it being a cover, I'm a little bit distracted just trying to figure out what I need to fix. What are the things that are working in this piece? What are the things that aren't working? I think that's better to say. It's not that I'm necessarily off my game. I'm just distracted by the work itself. Sometimes, like particularly when I'm inking, I really am just more than happy to just jabber away and chit chat. And I don't really, it's not that inking is mindless, but a lot of times I've already done a lot of the planning and the heavy lifting by the time I'm inking. So I don't have to pay as much attention. Whereas what I'm doing right now is the actual heavy lifting. And I'm definitely feeling more distracted while I'm doing that. Here's something that I wanted to throw out to the chat, and I will probably eventually, I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but I really can't remember if I mentioned this in a previous live stream. But something I was thinking about in the conversations that we've had about studying from art books and the different art book recommendations that I've given, is I was thinking about starting a Patreon exclusive study group. And what would it comprise of is we would pick an art book from my art library, and I would put up for a vote. So I'd try to pick something that a lot of people already had, or a book that isn't particularly expensive, so that people don't have to break the bank getting it. But taking the monthly live stream that I do for patrons, and using that to sit down and spend an hour, that hour per month, going through that book and just start at the beginning and doing studies from that from each page. Just work through the book page by page and doing some studies, seeing what I can glean from the concepts that they have there, sharing what my interpretations of what these different art books are studying or what they're teaching, and seeing what other people's thoughts are. And maybe even setting it up so that it isn't just me broadcasting, but maybe setting it up so that it can be an invite only live stream where people can share their work and we can talk about what we're studying, maybe the challenges that you guys are having. And I was thinking, obviously the first book that comes to mind is Loomis's Figure Drawing for All It's Worth. That's probably, since it's one of my more highly recommended books, and I still have not studied every single page in that book, I thought that one might be a good one to do. Possibly also picking Bridgman's Complete Guide, since that one I think Bridgman definitely requires more interpretation than, say, other art books. But in general, just going through, showing a few books from my library and seeing, first off, is that something you guys would even be interested in? A study group where it's almost like I'm not necessarily the teacher, but I'm leading the study group, in that we have an art book, we go through it, we study from it, and we share our work together and what we've learned from those lessons. Taking some of the great educational art books out there to that are available for us to learn from. Is that something that you guys would be interested in? So, and again, that's something that would be a Patreon exclusive. But I was thinking about that. It sounded like a good idea, and at some point, I will put up a post on the community page for the YouTube channel just to see A, if people are interested, and B, what books you guys would like most. And if we get enough people interested, then I'll start doing that. So. Let me see here. I'm wondering, let me just adjust the camera a little bit more because I realize that I am right at the bottom of the page, what I'm drawing right now, when I'm down to the belt buckle. So I want to make sure you guys be able to see that part. So a lot of what I'm doing here is trying to fix the volumes in the sense that clearly defining what is the front plane and what is the side plane, if possible, being able to do it not just with anatomy, but maybe putting a seam of clothing running down the middle. The fact that I've got the neck, the pit of the neck is going to be hidden by the kerchief around it, but the fact that his chest is facing this plane, his head is facing this plane. So chest facing away, head facing towards us. Well, almost as if you're the viewer right here in the middle, his chest is facing that way, his head is facing that way. And so trying to put in the structural landmarks to make sure that these are all working. And even with the head, the fact that his hat isn't like perfectly perched on his head. This is really almost like me just drawing and erasing, trying to sculpt it into what I feel should be the correct position for these. I see Ian Rock saying, I just got the iPad Pro to relax and doodle and not stress myself out. Well, you know what, man? Good. It's I'm glad that it's having that effect. That's what sketching and drawing and doodling should be. See Amar's in the chat. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you and to all the rest of you guys hanging out. So Ian Rocks, what are you doodling? Are you drawing anything fun? If you guys are working on anything right now that you're enjoying, yeah, throw it out there in the chat. I'd be curious to hear what everyone else is working on. I mean, for me, it's kind of a long-standing joke whenever I have get-togethers where I hang out with other artist friends, other creative types. Sometimes, like for instance, my buddy Vince Moore, organizes a get-together that we have in the Valley called Coffee and Comics, and like many drink and draws, even though it's coffee themed, there's usually a theme for the month. Maybe it's a particular movie that's out or a particular comic. Maybe it'll be an X-Men themed get together or Star Wars or I don't know, Westerns, whatever. But for me, whenever I'm hanging out with my theme is always the same, which is finish my comic. And it might be irritating to some people that I'm not playing ball and participating in a group event, but I do feel like that's, I have so little time to actually spend on my creative projects that I try to keep it as focused as possible. So for me, the theme is always finish my comic. Ian Rock says he's doing the same. He's working on some anatomy. That's good. Amar is working on an OpenTunes collaboration animation. Ian Rock says, I'm going to do digital. It's my first time going digital. And Amar says he's wrapping up the shadows, needs to run to Office Depot to get a 2 terabyte drive so you can start doing time-lapse videos. Yeah, I had to get a terabyte drive as well when I started doing video. I knew I was going to just fill up my hard drive so quickly. that I needed something else to I needed some extra storage space. I think as we all do, as you go along, I think with any creative project, you may start out thinking you only need X amount of space, and then the more you do it, the more space you use up. So no surprise there once you're doing videos. Mar said, "I think I will start doing a series called Quick or One Shots." It's funny with the videos. I'm sure that you guys that are watching regularly and subscribe to the channel have probably noticed this. When I do these live streams, I take whatever is the if somebody asks a really good question, or if I'm pontificating and I'm going off on some artistic point that I actually, oh, you know what, this might be useful or entertaining to people, I will usually take the like a 2 minute or a 5 minute clip, and I'll repost just that bit of the live stream as a highlight, because I know that when I am watching videos, if I'm on YouTube and I'm looking around for any artistic topic or any creative topic, when I see a video that is a half hour long, 45 minutes long, an hour long, I will usually add those to my watch later. If I see a video that's 2 minutes, it's 5 minutes, I'll usually just watch it. So I realize that's true. If that's what my behavior is, I think that's probably true for a lot of other people that are online as well. So, that's, I think, something that might help in terms of the quick shots is maybe just taking stuff from your current videos and just chopping them down. Because I actually have noticed that even though I have built a more regular relationship, like with you guys that are showing up for the live stream every week, that are hanging out, that are engaging in the chat, I have a close relationship with you guys in that we're actually talking every week. But my overall channel growth has slowed down since I started doing live streams. And I thought to myself, oh, my channel grows faster when I'm doing the original videos, where I'm just, for my older videos, they were usually anywhere from I don't know, from 8 minutes to 15 or 20 minutes. Occasionally they'd be longer, but it used to be just time lapse of me working, along with similar to what I'm doing now, where I'm just sort of talking, describing my process, what I'm thinking, how I'm getting to where I'm getting, the problems I'm struggling with. But I found that I didn't want to, logic tells me that if one thing is working well, being the time lapse videos, then I should go back to just doing that. But I really do find this experience that we have, being able to talk every week, very fruitful. It's almost like having that experience at a comic book convention when people come up to my table, and whether they buy something or not, I get to have a really cool conversation with them. And that's what this connection feels like. And my wife even says that I probably waste too much time talking to people that aren't going to buy anything. But one of the things that I love about comic conventions are those interesting conversations. So, get more comics done. These live streams allow me to have that experience, that connection with you guys, and just discussing art, discussing different my challenges, your challenges. What do I think about this particular technique or approach? These are all conversations that I don't have as often anymore, and it's nice to be able to have it with you guys. But knowing that my YouTube channel growth was slowing, it hasn't stopped. I mean, it's still, we get some new subscribers to the channel every week. But there was a point where I was growing by, I want to say, maybe like 100 viewers a week. And it was growing, I'd say, between 3,000 and 6,000 viewers. My channel was growing very fast organically. And that has slowed now. So I think that what is helping to offset that, or what has been helping to offset that, is switching to or including those highlight videos that are just five, 3 to 5 minute highlight videos. As I'm painting this, I'm actually wondering whether it's bad that I'm going in here and putting in all of these shadow lines, because in the end, a lot of these shadows are going to become color, and I may not want that line art in there. But, I may go back and lightly redraw it digitally when I start making this. And one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start with doing a gray value study in a bunch of YouTube videos that talked about the bad side or the downside of trying to colorize a gray toned drawing or black and white value study. But it just, when I tried to go straight to color with the first version of Morningstar, with the first version of the cover to issue 8, I was really not happy with the results. And I would like to think that it doesn't mean that I will never get there. I tried it once, it didn't work for me. And much like inking, for years I tried to ink with a brush, and it's only like in the past few years since I've been working on Morningstar that it's felt like it's really coming together. I'm just flipping this back over to look at some of the marks that I made with the previous version. Like, see, I just realized I'm missing the collar that's completely wrapping around the front of Lucifer's face. So there should be I can see it now, and I actually need to grab my electric eraser so I can in there and erase this a little bit more precisely with control. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Chat. Wow, I'm sorry I got on my jam drawn because I stopped checking. You guys had a lot of feedback here. All right, so Amar says that I can do daily animations for like 1 to 3. I can do daily animations for like 1 to 3 second animations, then show the process, record them while I do my other content. So when I get tired of doing the live streams, I can have that content, short 5-10 minutes that people get the animation process. That's a really good idea. Mighty Geek Studio says, try doing silent drawings with approved music in the background. Well, you know what? I know that a lot of people, Mighty Geek says some of us draw with music in the background. I know a lot of people do that, particularly on Twitch. Hang on, let me just grab that electric eraser so I can keep working on this while we talk. Got my little drawing pin here. I know a lot of people have music on while they're working and it's just silent, but the reason why I tried that in the beginning with some of my first videos, and when people really started to react and engage with my channel, it was when I started talking. Now, I know that I could have music on in the background and still be talking, but, different people have different tastes, and I would just assume if you're at home and you're watching, instead of having to listen to my music, why not just put on whatever music you want to listen to and have that going in the background? Because, why would I, it could potentially turn somebody off where they might enjoy what I'm drawing, but they just don't want to listen to whatever music I'm listening to. And if I'm talking, the music to me I actually find that while I can talk with music in the background, drawing and talking at the same time is about the most distraction I can handle. Like, I'm a great listener when I'm drawing. People can be talking to me and I can completely understand and hear everything they're saying. I can say, yes, no, that's interesting. I agree, I disagree. I can engage and respond. Being able to have a conversation like we're having in the chat while I'm drawing requires pretty much all of my concentration. I think doing that and having music on in the background would probably be too distracting for me. Now, I know you're saying, well, why? Again, you said just have music on and just draw silently. But I mean, do you guys want me to stop talking? I mean, and I honestly don't mean this in a I'm sounding offended or I'm special and precious. Do you guys enjoy the conversation, the discussion part of the live stream, or would you prefer just watching me draw? Because that's actually another thing. If you guys really did prefer just watching a live stream without commentary, then I would consider just, I think if anything, I would probably go back to the time lapses and just post the time lapse silently. Or like you said, with approved music. But I do kind of think that from the reaction I've gotten from you guys, the discussion is what you guys find interesting, not so much just the watching me draw. And I figure the watching me draw is just so you don't get bored hearing me flap my gums about artwork. But that's why I'm asking. This is meant to be, I'm trying to explain to you guys how I interpret our interaction, and you guys tell me, no, that's not how we see it, or, well, we do see it like this, but, there's also these other things that we like. Like, this isn't, it's meant to be a two-way street. It's meant to be a conversation. So it's good for you guys to tell me this. Let's scroll back up because there were a lot of comments in the chat that I missed. And I apologize for shaking the camera as I'm going, but I have some reference up. You know what? I just realized. I'm not even really, I should leave the reference up. I was going to say I'm not really looking at it as I draw, but that doesn't mean I should turn the reference off. It just means I should be paying attention to the reference, which, all right, before we get back into the comments in the chat, I'll show you. I took a bunch of photos of that little figure, where are they? The SH Fig Art figures. In order to try and get Lucifer feeling like he's on fire, I basically put him above a lamp, like a lamp shining underneath him, really bright, and then I also backlit him with another lamp. So let me see here. Is that one? Yeah, here we go. So I went through and I just took a bunch of photos of the figure. And that's what's on my tablet above the drawing board, is me having these to look at while I'm sketching. So these are kind of trying to help me with my lighting cues. And all of the coat that he's wearing, the kerchief, the hat. The hat is just a little piece of an index card that I cut out circularly and put a hole in it for his head. But the coat and the kerchief, I made all of those out of tissue paper. And I thought about making a quick video of me cutting out the clothing for that. Hang on. There we go. Just so you guys could see how quick and easy it was. It really took me all of 5 minutes to make the clothing for him for this photo shoot. So yeah, if that's interesting to you, that's something that I might make a short video of in the future and just take the clothing off of and remake it again, showing you the process. And again, it was just scissors and tape. But all right, back to the conversation in the chat, which looks pretty lively. So let me slow down here and get caught up with everybody. Mr. J is in the chat, and he said, I watched your recent video about the different grips. I feel like I'm inspired. I feel like I inspired that video after my last after asking about the grips in the last stream. Well, you know what? That video was mentioned what I was saying earlier. If there's something that comes up that's an interesting conversation in our live stream, we go all over the place. We talk about whatever I'm specifically working on. Sometimes I come with a topic, but then people ask questions in the chat like you did, and we talk about stuff. And if there's something that other people might find useful, I'll take that out and cut it out. But, as I've mentioned before, I don't know if you've noticed, but when I'm drawing this part here, most of what I'm drawing with a writer's grip. When I was working on this part, when I was doing my gestural phase with the red pencil, I was basically doing a lot of the artist script, the overhand, kind of drawing around, more circularly, gesturally, angled. And then when I started going into the actual hardline details, that's usually when I switch grips. So For me, the artist grip is for gesture and volume, and then the writer's grip is for detail and getting precise tones. But yes, you very much inspired that, and I'm glad that it was useful to you. So, you know, you're saying thank you for it. You're very welcome. Let's see. Amar says he's thinking of doing animation series for a character that is bipolar to show the dualities of people using ad hominem techniques to bring viewers in. That's pretty heady. He says I also set up the video template for the series I mentioned to you about a month ago. I need time to storyboard out the animation so I can create a template so I can use it for other videos. That sounds like a really cool project. I'm somebody who I have people in my family that suffer bipolar disorder, so I think doing work that gets into some of the nuances and complexities of mental illness is very important. I think a lot of things it's becoming destigmatized to some degree. The fact that before people would not talk about whoever their crazy relative is, or everything would be hush hush, and now we're talking more about it as a society and a culture, and we're encouraging people to A, get treatment, and B, if they have family members who need treatment, to be there and be more supportive of them. And I think that that's really admirable that you're tackling that in your work. Back to Mighty Geek, I skipped over your comment real quick just because I wanted to come back to it and read yours together, because you mentioned what I'm working on is just a rough blueprint, and that most fans will buy the rough pencils. I do intend to eventually put a lot of my layouts and my roughs on sale on my website, but right now, again, this is another one of those things that I'm going to look at adjusting in the future. It takes so much of my focus to just get the comic done, to write and draw and get each issue out, that I have not been putting as much attention into running my store properly or running my store profitably. I do make online sales, but for most part, when people buy things, it's usually T-shirts, and none of the T-shirts are Morningstar related. They're all just pieces that I do as prints, as other artwork, and it's a revenue stream that I know I should be taking more advantage of, that I should be running more organized, and I haven't been. So it's just hours in the day and not having enough time, but I am aware that I'm letting revenue slip by my fingers. But if I were really concerned that much about revenue, I don't know if comic books would be the industry I would go into. I mean, to be honest, you could probably make a lot more money as a full-time graphic designer working for ad agencies and doing concepts, doing marketing work, for large ad campaigns than you do by actually making individual pieces of artwork to sell to fans and to readers. So, for me, a lot of this stuff, comics are the medium that I love. And see, this thing is still not right. Belt buckle. Trying to keep it simple, but also keep it on the plane that I want the belt to be on. These are the kind of things that, you ideally get better at catching as you're drawing them. And if you're not necessarily going to be so good that you draw them right the first time, that hopefully you'll be good enough at catching these mistakes that you'll start drawing it, you'll realize it's wrong, and then come in and make adjustments and corrections. All right, more comments in the chat. There's a lot in there that I hadn't even got to yet. But yeah, Mighty Geek Studios, I will, be putting my roughs online. Someday I'll probably even put my finished comp pages online. I mean, not online, but put them up for sale. But the big reason why I'm holding on to them is not because I genuinely don't want to let them go. It's more that I feel like I want to build up the market, the audience for my work, and I think that they'll go for a higher price a few years down the line. So I'm just holding on to them and letting, as I'm building more of an audience. Amar says, hey man, you have a buyer here. I plan to buy all of your books soon. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate the support, and I hope that you enjoy them when you do get around to buying them. Amar also says I use Pretzel for music for my live streams, but the free edition and the music is repetitive. Um, yeah, I mean, honestly, I do you guys really feel like you need music on this while I'm working? Because I feel my thought is if you guys want to have music playing in the background, you just have music playing in the background while I'm talking. You don't really need my music. But what do you guys think about that? Would you prefer someone DJing the drawing session to just listening to whatever you want to listen to? Um, and honestly, you just I'm asking the question because I want to know how much of a detriment you guys feel like it is. I personally don't want to add music. Um, I don't want to have to deal with getting the licensing even if it's not that particularly difficult to get royalty free or YouTube approved music to play while you're streaming. Part of what makes this possible, me doing the live stream, me working on sharing the process while I'm working on comics, is how simple and basic I try to keep things. I try to keep it, it would be nicer if I had a good like below the screen icon playing and labels and extra links and stuff that you could click on, running it through OBS. But one, when I run stuff through my desktop computer, my connection is pretty spotty there. So usually I'm working off of a cellular off of my phone when I'm live streaming. But also, just any step that involves a little bit more infrastructure and having to do a few more things to run the live stream is going to make it me that much less likely to do it, because the fact that it's not a lot of setup, I just put the camera on, put it above my screen and start going. To me, that's what makes this easy and fun. I think that if I just had to have extra steps that I had to do before or to set up, it would slow me down. It would make me not want to do this as much. And I'm not saying that like, oh, I'm going to go away. I'm taking it away from you. Um, the thing that I enjoy the most is just put on the screen, start talking, and talk with you guys in the chat. I don't really want to make it more complicated than that. And I think we all know people who have creative projects that they want to do, but they maybe set the bar too. I think setting the bar too high is the wrong word. But when you make something overly complicated, overly ambitious, or if it has too many working parts, then you're less likely to want to sit down and actually do it. So that's part of the reason why I try to keep this simple. And I realize I've been talking so long and still catching up with the chat that you guys may have already answered these questions already, and I just haven't gotten to them yet. So I'm scrolling back up. Let me see if I can blast through a bunch of the conversation here. I'll tell you, I'm super excited every time I get in here and I see that like there's all the stuff going on in the chat while I'm drawing. It's good because that's that sense of community. The fact that you guys are interacting and having a discussion, and that it isn't just about replying to what I'm saying. So that's super cool. Now, it does suck for Ion Rocks. He says that the chat's all screwed up for me. I can't see any of the comments. Maybe the crappy connection. You know what, dude? I'm sorry. I'm bummed out that you've got bad reception where you're at. You could try closing the stream and log back on again and refreshing and seeing if that helps. And if not, the chat will show up clearly when you watch the replay. So if you come back later on and watch it, you should be able to see the chat. So, it sucks that it's ruining it for you here in the moment. But also, I try to read not all, but a lot of the comments in the chat, so you guys can at least, hear some of at least you can hear some of what's going on. Amar says, I don't know read books as often as I think he's saying I know I should read I don't read books as often as I should, but I do support other artists. I appreciate the support, and I also do not read anywhere near as much as I would like to. For me, and it's not even about supporting artists. I just enjoy. I feel like I learn and improve at the creative process through reading reading art books, reading fiction books, reading everything. So that's another thing. Like, I do also believe in supporting other artists, but first and foremost, I make comics because I'm a fan of comics. And I have found that as I spend more time in the creative process, I have less time to actually sit down and just read and enjoy. So that's something that I'm on the same page with you, where I'm trying to make more time to read and enjoy things. So let's see here. Mighty Geek says, gives us an idea of what you like and your motivation in terms of, I guess, just the talking while we're going. And Amar says, do what you like. It's your stream. I appreciate that. Said you can preface the stream if you want it to be a non-interactive stream. And Iron Rock says it's pretty good, the live stream. I'm happy to hear that. Amar says, in a few years, I want to start back to doing plasticine clay modeling and stop motion like I did decades ago. You know what? That sounds really, really cool. I haven't seen much claymation and stop motion animation in a long time. So I think there's definitely an audience for people that would be hungry to watch the process work of that. I mean, honestly, just the fact that you're sharing the process work of animation. There's lots of people that share process of painting and drawing. I don't know how many other live streams I've seen of people that are showing. If they're showing animation process, it's usually modeling 3D figures. That's what I usually see. People working in ZBrush and they're talking while they're sculpting, and they talk about that process, which is also really interesting. But I don't see as many people talking about 2D animation. So that's pretty cool. I look forward to seeing you getting some of those 3D pieces up. Mighty Geek says I think we're talking back to people that are interested in the creative process. He says most are interested in the mistakes of the rough pencils because it shows that mistakes happen. Welcome to the club art. Yeah, I'll tell you. Well, obviously you guys have seen it. That's a big theme in my whole channel. Is I don't want to make it look like, oh, everything that comes out of my pencil is beautiful. I feel like it's important, and I think encouraging to artists of all levels of skill, whether you're a newcomer, whether you're a longtime professional, whether you're somebody who's a pro-am, whether you're slowly moving towards doing professional work. But for me, showing how much work goes into getting a drawing that I'm happy with, I don't do it to discourage other people, but more, I think it's encouraging to see that it takes a lot of hard work to get a good drawing. That you have to, pull out reference, that you have to take your drawings and flip them, that you go and you say, oh, wait, there's one thing in here that just is bothering me and it's not coming out right. You may end up doing it over and over again. I think that showing these things, showing the work that goes into the creative process, makes people feel like, oh, I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. This is really, really hard. And that just because it's hard doesn't mean you have to suffer. I mean, obviously, that's the other message that I try to continue to repeat to people, is to find joy in the hard work. That yes, this is very, very challenging for me, and you can see how many times I will go back and forth with the piece, flipping it, redrawing it, particularly with my thumbnails. When you see like how many different versions of a page I will work out before I get it, or even when I'm working on my final comic pages, that even after my thumbnails and my layouts, when I'm in the inking stage, I'll be inking it and I'll get to a panel. I'll be like, you know what? This panel just sucks. It doesn't work. I need to re-thumbnail it out and figure out something better. Then draw that on a separate sheet of Bristol board and then drop it in Photoshop. And you guys have seen me do that a ton of times. And I think that to me, that's what I hope you guys are getting out of this channel more than anything. In that, when I see other artists, it doesn't make me feel better that artists are struggling, but it makes me say, oh, this is the natural process. The natural process involves a certain amount of failure. Because I feel like a lot of people, when they try and they fail, they just want to give up. And we would have so much less great artwork in the world if everybody gave up when they hit a wall, when things were challenging and were difficult. So, that's the other thing that I really want to share is, yeah, it does get really hard. Yeah, it gets really challenging. And these are the tools that I use to try and work through those challenges. And hopefully it'll make you say, oh, I should try, maybe I can try these tools, or maybe I need to develop my own approach to figure out how to fix these things that I'm having trouble with. Wow. I still haven't caught up with all the chats yet. We're already 50 minutes in. This stream has been going by super fast, at least on my end. I hope it doesn't feel like it's dragging and going on super slow for you guys. So let's see here. I'm almost caught up. So Amar says Pretzel is YouTube friendly, but you don't need music. I use Streamlabs. It's a little bit of setup. I just open the application, update the thumbnail, and click the stream. If you ever need to set up, we can do a Discord or Google Hangouts, and I can help you set everything up. Well, I've heard that Google Hangout has gone away. In fact, that's one of the things that I need to do in the future is set up StreamYard, because I had heard on Scott Circlin, Circworks, on his YouTube channel. I follow them. He's another fellow indie comic creator and artist who also has a graphic design background. He's a great, super cool guy, has a great channel. You should definitely check him out. It's SERK WERKS, Circworks. I think I spelled it right, but it's SERK Works, WERKS. But anyway, I remember him talking about the fact that that Google Hangouts was going away, which was going to be a challenge because he also has they have a live stream that he does with another artist, Joshua Kimball, and they alternate between each other's YouTube channels every week. In fact, some people here that I think came to my YouTube channel from hearing about from hearing about them. So I appreciate catching some draft over from his hangover from his channel. But they had mentioned that did Google Hangouts every week, and they would alternate between each other's channels. And Google Hangouts, I guess, has been shut down, it's gone away, and now it's there needed to be something to fill the void, and there's a service called StreamYard, which I have not tried out yet. You have to pay for a version that doesn't have their branding on your stream, but their free version, it seems to be working fine. I know the guys at One Fantastic Week have tried it out and been using it, and it seems to be working pretty well over there too. And I have been wanting to have other people involved on my channel, to have other people, like I tried for a long time to set up a live stream with a Google Hangout with Vince Moore so he could be in and sit in and comment on the stream. And just, again, not enough hours in the day. I never got around to figuring out. We tried it one time, had a lot of technical difficulties that were my end, not his. And I never got around to figuring out what was wrong and fixing it. But now, hopefully with StreamYard, it'll be easier to do these kind of these group live streams, and have some more people actually on the show talking while we're working. So I definitely appreciate the feedback and helping me set up. I do at some point need to look at StreamYard, but from what I've heard, it's not particularly difficult to set up. Mighty Geek says, if you're interested in setting up a Discord for your regular subscribers and followers, give you topics for your live stream. You know what? I think for Patreon, they automatically set up a Discord for you. I haven't used it only because I know that right now, I find that the amount that I'm able to stay on top of in terms of going to my day job and coming home and doing artwork, the amount I'm able to stay on top of in terms of interacting with people is responding to comments on my social media posts, responding to comments that people make on the YouTube channels, and answering questions there and in the community page, and then responding to comments on the Patreon. I feel like if I also had the Discord running, that it does give you more of a direct conversation with viewers, but I think that that's really only good for somebody who is not doing a day job or has another job that they're working on. Because I really do feel like it would become something where I would just drop in once or twice a week and comment. And I think that my understanding of Discord, because I'm signed up on a few other people's Patreons, I'm subscribed to Jason Brubaker's Patreon, and I'm not on there on the Discord very often. But when I've dropped in, it seems like it's kind of a constant feed, and like every couple of hours, people are talking and engaging. And I know that I wouldn't drop in often enough, and I would hate for people to feel like, oh, I'm contributing to this guy's program, his subscribing to his Patreon. He's never here and never talking to me. So I don't want people to feel that way. So that's why I've not set up a Discord. If I were to set one up, it'd be when I had more time and was maybe working part time and able to do more time on my artwork, just so that I could be more engaged and interacting with people. So it's a tough challenge balancing being available to communicate with people with actually just focusing on getting work done. Amar says most successful people say this again: fail hard, fail fast. You can learn and grow faster. Says Streamlabs is really easy to set up. We can do that as well. It exists. It still exists. I think maybe they're making it paywall. And Rock says good drawing. Good job, Jeremy. I appreciate that. Thank you. I think part of this is me forcing myself to slow down a little bit. I mean, there's a real challenge when you're drawing of wanting to bring a lot of energy in your work and drawing quickly, a lot of slashing lines, and really there's something about drawing quickly that makes the page feel more energetic. But drawing slowly and thoughtfully allows you to work out a lot of the volumes and the structural issues. So I think I'm sure you have all had that experience where you start out with a really cool sketch, and then the more you draw on it, the stiffer it gets and more labored. So that is something that I am always fighting, is trying to make sure that the work doesn't feel labored. I want it to feel organic and have that energy, but I also want it to I want to have a sense of volume, and I want to have a sense of structure. And for me personally, that sense of volume and structure comes when I'm a little bit slower and a little bit more careful. But yeah, part of that's actually helping, I think, that sense of volume is just the extra kind of slashing tones that I'm adding to just create that sense of the light that's coming from below. I mean, all of this, it's going to be really interesting to see how I play it out in the final artwork. Like, I'm actually even wondering whether I should be putting in the flames. Like, I probably should just be drawing them in very lightly. Because all of this is going to be highly dependent like the actual position of the flames in terms of when I'm done. You know what? I'm actually even wondering, I may go in here with another separate pencil. Yeah, you know what? I don't know. What I'm thinking is doing this in blue pencil so that all of the figure is in black. Do the flames in blue. That way I can really easily drop them out, because I really want the suggestion of where they're placed, and then I really want to paint the flames onto the figure. So yeah, I'm gonna go in here and erase this for now. I'll probably come in with a blue pencil and just lay the flames in over the top at the end. So let's see here. Amar says, I have one. I'm on Discord as well, but I have not really started promoting it much. I'm curious for the rest of you guys that are on Discords, actually have Discords, how much time do you spend on there on a daily or weekly basis? I'm curious what the level of interaction is for you guys on there. Because one of the things I'm also trying to be wary of is overly protective of my time to actually create because I feel like I'm slower than I would like to be. So I try to be very precious about any new tasks that I add to my work day, to my creative process. And that includes non-drawing, that's especially non-drawing related tasks. I don't really want to add what would feel like, you know, it's not like talking to you guys is busy work. Talking to you guys feels like connecting with people that are interested in what I'm doing. But I don't want to create more work for myself when I could be spending time actually getting the comic done. Because in the end, the whole reason why I'm even sharing stuff online is because I'm an artist making work and I want to share that work with people. If I wanted to just talk with people, I could just go to a coffee house, sit down, hang out, and do that instead of actually, drawing. So we're at a little over an hour here, so I'm gonna wrap it up. If anybody has any last minute questions in the chat, feel free to jump in and throw those down now, because I'm pretty much gonna. I think I'm gonna wrap that up. I have I actually haven't done this month's Patreon exclusive live stream yet, so I am probably going to try and do that either today, after this, or I may try to do it Tuesday or Wednesday. So for those who are on Patreon, stay tuned for that, and I'll let you guys know when that's going to be coming out. Amar says he had to throw his lunch in the microwave. He says, I'm on every day. We're talking about Discord now. I'm on every day, but I'm not married or have the following you have yet. He said, but I am a tech head. I'm on the computer 12 to 16 hours a day, some days more than 16 hours, more so on the weekend. And, well, see, that's the thing. Part of the reason why I work traditionally instead of working digitally is specifically because I don't, I'm on the computer all day at my day job anyway. And I do definitely feel like I need to give my eyes a rest and give them a break when I'm, when I'm at home. So, like, I know that Iron Rocks was super excited about, getting his iPad. And I have some other friends. I have people in my figure drawing class that said, dude, why are you working traditional? Why aren't you doing digital? So much faster, so much better. And I don't argue with any of that. I think that there's a lot of great benefits to working digital. And for me, it purely comes from I'm in front of a computer all day. When I come home, I need to give myself a break. And also, I am married, so I can't necessarily stay in front of the computer all day long. It's important to spend time, to hang out with my wife, just, having a little bit of, couples time. So, yeah, when you guys talk about, having the freedom to do all of that. And to be honest, my wife is extremely patient. I spend a lot of time doing artwork, and even when we're just hanging out on the TV, sometimes I'm bringing my thumbnails with me and I have them on the couch there while we're watching TV. Sometimes we may be going to visit family and I'll be bringing my sketchbook with me, and she's very, very patient about that. There's only so many hours in a day that you can spend. So when it comes to adding stuff like a Discord server, I just, I would be real hesitant to add something else that I know I wouldn't be able to make it worthwhile for the people who would be signing up for it. So in the end, like stuff like this, out and talking with you guys while I'm working, I would be working on my comic book every week anyway. That's what makes this so great, is I'm just sitting around drawing and chatting. These are the kind of things, the stuff we talk about, the stuff I would be talking about with my art buddies if we were just hanging out at a coffee shop with our drawing boards and our comics and working on stuff. So, all right. Amar says, I would just silhouette the flames and add those effects digitally, and that's probably what I'm going to do. And he said, instead of back to sitting in front of the computer, he said, it's a bad habit, but I've been doing it about 25 years. Most girlfriends didn't like me being on the computer. I've been there in the past too. I understand. I feel your pain. All right, guys. So we're going to wrap it up here. I'm going to keep working on this cover. and I will probably, do that on my on the Patreon exclusive live stream. So that's gonna be coming either today or later this week. But for those of you who have not joined my Patreon yet, it is patreon.com/GERIMI. Like I said, once a month I do an exclusive Patreon live stream. I also release bonus content that you only see on my Patreon, as well as I've been running Morningstar as a webcomic on Patreon. So you can check that out there. You can go to comics.jeremy.net to download PDFs of my comics. And if you would like to purchase one of my books, Eye of the Gods, or the first volume of Morningstar, as well as my art book, Wound, you can go to amazon.jeremy.net. That will forward you to my Amazon author page. Thank you guys so much for spending time with me this weekend. Thank you so much for all the great questions and interaction. I really appreciate it. If you enjoy these videos, share them. Hit that share button. Share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it on whatever social media. Feel free. It helps me a lot if you guys spread the word. So that's it for now. Go be creative.